Good afternoon, makers. Welcome back to another session of Virtual Maker Wednesday. As you probably have astutely noticed already, I am joined today by my friend Melissa, whoa, who is actually the new youth program director at the Millville Community Library, friends. So I haven't been able to tell everybody this yet, but my life path is taking me elsewhere. So I will no longer, with the new year, as of the new year, I will no longer be in the library at this role, but I'm so excited to introduce Melissa to you, who will be taking on this role.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I'm really excited to make one of our favorite crafts, which is pom poms. Great festive option for the holidays or just for decorating your room in general. You can make a lot of them. You can make a bunch of different sizes of them. So I really love fiber, and I'm really pumped to be with you today.
Absolutely. And I'm very happy to have a comrade here to make this video with. Yeah, because it's hard just talking to the computer sometimes, friends, but I know that you're all at home listening and it's all cool. So yeah, I think without any further ado, we'll kind of just get into it. So for today, these pom-poms, pretty simple. You'll notice that this is all yarn, friends. All yarn there. Okay. All yarn all the time. And to make it, we don't really need too many materials. We're going to need some cardboard, some yarn, of course. We're going to need some sort of, circular bottom for a measuring device. Glasses work well, jars.
What's nice about these is that there are two sizes. So you have a smaller size and a bigger size. So maybe you get into making really, really tiny pom poms. Maybe you get into making giant ones. So a lot of options with circles to trace.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to have a couple different options, right, friends? So we got that going on. Then we'll need a coin or some other similar sort of a very small circle, something to mark with and something to cut with. So we're going to start off by making, we need to make, what's our friend, how do they refer to these? What these are that we're making?
This is going to be the structure that you wrap the yarn around to make your pom pom. So if you buy a pom pom from the store, you probably don't think about how it's made, but it really helps to have something firm to wrap your yarn around. If you have trouble kind of cutting out something that's thicker like a box, something that's really useful is like cardboard that comes from your snacks or your cereal boxes because it's a little more flexible, a little easier to cut out.
Absolutely. And what we're doing is basically making these sort of like these like C type shapes, and that's or it's a horseshoe maybe really depending upon if you are the U, who knows.
Yeah.
And that's what we will be going around wrapping our yarn around to create our pom pom, like Melissa just mentioned. So we'll start off by making. We each need to make two of these. So get going.
One thing that is good to notice when you start is that maybe you don't want to trace right in the middle of your cardboard, but if you want to go toward the edge, that way you'll get room to make two. So you don't want to cut out your cardboard so much that you don't have room to make two.
Absolutely. Great thing to pay attention to. And as always, friends, we encourage everybody to be very creative, very experimental in your crafts and your making. Melissa and I are showing you one way to do this, but there are many ways. We saw one you can do with a fork, or some others, the hand.
Yeah, if you want to just use your hand and you are maybe like walking around and you need a craft to kind of come with you, you can definitely use your hand. It's a great tool. Forks can be a little bit tricky, but you'll see a lot of videos on YouTube for making pom poms with forks. You can also get a store-bought pom pom maker. It's a little more expensive, but it is a useful tool to reuse again and again if you get into like a pom pom making craze.
Right.
And you just need all the pom poms.
And all of a sudden your room is just pom poms. This is an experience and a lifestyle that could be available to you.
Yeah.
And and it still is, even if you just use these little tricks. So.
Yeah. One thing, if you're having trouble tracing a circle and you have a friend with you that you're safely crafting with, they can always hold on top while you trace the circle. Sometimes it can be tricky to do all these things
Absolutely
at the same time. So if you really want to focus on getting a perfect circle, ask somebody for help.
And it's a great way to activate your younger siblings and be like, hey, do you want to help me make this cool thing? And then, but of course, if you do that, you have to make a pom pom for them too.
Yeah. So tell me about this stuff that you just did with your quarter.
Yeah.
Because you have donuts. I don't have a donut yet. So what do I need to do?
So what you'll need to do is just grab a coin, and you can even use a quarter if you want. We'll just put it right in the middle of our circle that we made and create a smaller circle to create this donut shape. Because from here, we're going to go ahead and cut out our bigger circles, and then we're going to cut into them kind of almost in like a keyhole shape, like we see here with our already made pom-pomming structure, our pom-pom device. So we're going to go ahead, and once you get to this stage, you can just cut out your circles. And keep in mind that we need our pom-pom devices to be as close to being the same size as possible. And you'll see why.
I have a little bit of trouble cutting out giant pieces of cardboard, so what I'm actually going to do is separate them first. So I can put them in my hands better.
Always smart. And as always, friends, I just to continue to reiterate, there's always opportunities for you to like form your own process whenever we're doing these crafts. Because that's really, we like to make stuff that looks cool and that's fun to have, but what we really like doing is the making part, right? So whatever your process is the right process for you.
Now, say you end up with a lot of pom-poms, because again, practice makes perfect. The more you make them, the better they're going to get. You can also tie them together into a garland, which is a really fun thing to drape around your tree for the holidays. Fun to put on your door. And also you can clip a bunch of other things to your garland, like if you get all kinds of great holiday cards, you can clip those cards to an amazing garland and hang them up so you can look at them.
And perhaps that's something we'll even expand on next week in Virtual Maker Wednesday or the week after. We'll see, friends. We like to keep you guessing. That's how we keep you coming back, exploring, ready for more. All right.
Still working on these. I'm going to cut off, again, some extra cardboard so that I can make it a little easier on my hands.
I'm just enjoying this pom-pom I made before, really very good, just fun to, the feel of it is very satisfying, it's just kind of fluffy, fun. If you have anxious hands, you all probably remember me playing with my rubber bands all the time, or perhaps a fidget spinner, you guys might recall, so yeah, good twirl, very fun. Could be great to add to like a keychain or a book bag.
Or maybe your favorite winter hat needs,
Absolutely. Got to personalize.
All right, so now that we have circles in the middle of our circles, how do we cut them out?
So what we're going to want to do is sort of make angles in to make our keyhole shape. And we'll just do that on one of them so that we can then, so we'll do this. Kind of looks almost like maybe even like a little person on there or something. And what we're going to do is cut out this space to create that C shape or that horseshoe shape that we had before. And once we cut this out, we will just go ahead and use this to trace so that we can make sure that both of our pom-pom devices, are as, symmetrical as possible. And, we kind of need both of them to have the true pom-pom device. It's a two-part machine.
This is kind of like taking a slice out of your favorite piece of cake, maybe?
Absolutely.
The bundt cake?
The bundt cake.
Okay, I cut in just to the inside circle on one, and then I cut in a second one. It is really okay if you cut into the inside of the circle because we might throw that away or we might use it for a different project. Again, it doesn't really matter if you cut into that part.
Absolutely. I sort of went for a little, just cut right around here.
And then once you get into the middle, maybe you want to rip this part off if you're having trouble getting your scissors around there. And maybe you want to turn as you go to kind of make it easier on you.
Very cool.
It can be tricky.
Yeah, cardboard can be tough to cut, It's a very strong material by design, of course. And so then once you're at that, your spot where you have your horseshoe or your C or your U, however you're looking at this, like I said, we're going to go ahead, put that on top of our one that is incomplete. See that? And then we're going to trace these lines and cut them out to make them as similar as possible.
And again, if they didn't match up perfectly, I think it would be fine still.
Yes. It will still be functional.
So this part that we're cutting out is like the exit or the door that's going to allow us to get our pom-pom off of this structure once we're done. And we'll show you how that works in a second.
That'll be, there's some tricky parts of this craft, friends. It's not too many steps, but some of the steps in and of themselves are a little bit tricky. And again, you know, practice. And if it doesn't work the first time, it's okay. Think about what you could do differently or where you feel like there's room to maybe innovate.
Yeah, I think the great thing about this is you can really do this with any kind of yarn. So if you want a really, really fluffy pom-pom, something that's fun is this kind of yarn that has a different texture. Get a little bit up close so you can see. Different texture of yarn. This yarn has some really shiny glitter inside, so that could be festive. Any colors that you want to use, all of that good stuff, the materials really make a big difference.
They sure do. And it's a fun way to, you know, continue to kind of make variations of it with a similar process, which is very cool.
Yeah, we could reuse this a bunch of different times.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there was even a method we saw online that reminded me of the kumihimo that some of you might remember from years and years of making. You know, we love kumihimo, one of our great summertime at the library, let's throw this out kind of activities. All right, cool. So from here, I'm going to go for a red pom-pom this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to try it with this fluffy.
Wonderful. Oh, I think that'll be interesting with your kind of bigger device that you created there.
My pom-pom technology.
Your pom-pom technology, yes. No.
All right, I think something to keep in mind is that you don't want to squeeze, right? I have a donut sandwich. We don't want to squeeze it together super tight. We don't want to like let it slide around. So we're just kind of gently hanging on to it. And again, I make sure my little keyhole is kind of lined up with itself.
Yeah, and that's a great point because what we're gonna eventually be doing once we have our yarn wrapped around here is kind of going through this middle space and cutting, which will be a little bit difficult. Again, you need some sharper scissors if you have them. But we're gonna need to be able to get find this like space between. So we don't want to be too tight when we're doing our wrapping.
Now, where did you start wrapping your yarn the first time?
I started sort of right here at the point of my C or sort of this side, and then I kind of went all the way around. So we'll see.
And if you want, you can kind of hang on to the end with your thumb to get it started. You're eventually gonna loop over that and kind of tie down the end. So if you're having trouble with the end, it's okay. We're also kind of stacking these loops around on top of each other. We don't want to necessarily have big spaces. We kind of want to layer them up because the more we layer it, the fluffier your pom-pom is going to be.
Absolutely. And of course, a fluffy pom-pom is one of the goals here.
It's a delight.
It's absolutely delightful. Absolutely delightful. All right. I'm still picking up here. Yeah, and this takes a certain kind of dexterity, this project, friends. So don't get frustrated if right away you're having trouble finding the best starting point for you.
This is cool. I didn't notice that this yarn is a lot of different colors. So I'm getting a nice variegated effect here. My yarn is changing colors as I go. We're slowly working to the other end of the C.
Absolutely.
One technique that I saw was holding two different colors of yarn together. So if you want a multicolored pom-pom and you get into advanced pom-pom making, if you hold two strands of yarn together, you will get a multicolored pom-pom.
That's wonderful. Now I noticed that I feel like I was tying mine a little bit tighter than I would like. So I'm just creating a little bit of slack here. And for the remainder here, I'm going to be mindful not go quite as tight.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta loosen up.
Gotta loosen up a little bit, Melissa. You're exactly right. Gotta say, not a time to be uptight here.
And maybe I know that a lot of crafts it takes a long time to use them to relax, but a lot of crafting can be really relaxing.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so I have the two little points of my C kind of sticking up there, and I'm not gonna get too close because I don't want my pom pom to slip off of there, but we're gonna take care of that little gap at the very end. So don't be afraid that it's not a complete circle yet.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get to that point, we're just going to start to go back around toward where we started. And again, you can layer it as much as you want.
Absolutely. And I am catching up, but being mindful of not being too tight. Oh, a little bit of mask here. Obviously, of course, our friend Melissa and I are being safe here. Keeping masked up, friends. We know it's been a long year of this. But resilience, friends. What do we keep talking about? Just finding ways to continue our processes, continue to grow, continue to find ways to have fun. And making is very fun.
Yeah, it's a good way to take your mind off things that are stressing you out. Yeah. Okay. I ran out of yarn. So I'm not gonna panic. I'm just gonna let that yarn dangle, and I'm gonna get a longer piece. It's gonna be probably about a foot or even longer. You can always trim it at the end. And it really doesn't matter what color it is because it might just become invisible with the fluffiness of the pom-pom.
True. It'll just be like another nice kind of differentiation that's tucked in there.
Okay, and if I remember, this is the trickiest part.
Yes.
So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to take my sharp scissors, and if you're working with an adult and maybe a grown-up wants to do this part, or you know that there's some like secret sharp scissors around, maybe those are the ones you want to use. On the smaller ones, it can be hard. But I'm going to hold up this C, and I'm going to cut in between those two layers of my pom-pom technology. So I'm going to slide my scissors in, and with my thumb, I'm just keeping all of the threads on there because this can be tricky. We don't want our threads to slip off.
Yes, this is one of the trickiest parts, friends.
And if you made your pom-pom really, really thick and you wrapped it and wrapped it and wrapped it, it might be hard, but I'm just taking a couple loops at a time and gently cutting them. You can see that they're going to pull away and kind of fluff out a little bit. And I'm kind of turning my device as I go. All right, I'm going to see if I can do this without losing them. I got sticky stuff on my scissors.
Oh no! Yeah, I think I've gone. I don't think I've gone too tight here, but I'm still a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah.
So we'll just see. All right.
First time we made pom-poms, some of our fluff escaped.
Yes.
And, it was fine. It didn't want to be made into a pom-pom.
That was all okay. Yeah, it did all work out. What I'm doing here is just trying to create just as much space as possible by pressing on, what has kind of become the spine of my my device here. All right.
And I'm really taking my time and doing just 3 or 4 loops at a time.
Yeah.
I'm really not being ambitious. Just taking it slow.
Cut this off there. Good.
So I'm like halfway around. It looks like a fluffy sandwich. I don't know if that's appetizing to you, but I'm gonna just make sure that I'm keeping all these fluffs on here, and I'm gonna go kind of turn it so that I can get to the other half.
Totally.
And again, if you have a friend nearby who has maybe bigger hands than you or can help you hold it while you cut, there's no shame in asking for help.
Absolutely not. I'm taking it slow and steady over here, but making sure.
Do you need to use some sharp scissors? Are you okay?
I'm gonna keep going for now, but I might tap in the sharp scissors here. We'll see. These are okay.
What's kind of nice about my fluffy yarn is that it's all staying on there. I still have the pom-pom maker inside, we don't want to take the pom-pom maker off until the very last step. So I'm going to take my length of blue yarn, it's kind of hard to see, that I cut before, and I'm going to sneak it inside of this sandwich. It's like a donut sandwich. The next baking trend.
Coming at you in 2021.
All right, and I'm taking my yarn. You can go around as many times as you want. You can take the different ends of the yarn, go in different directions if you want, get twisty. And then I have, you can see I have 2 strands kind of hanging up. I'm gonna pull them pretty tight because we want the inside of our pom-pom to be tight. We don't want any of that good fluff to escape.
I just lost some good fluff there if you're keeping track. But we'll keep track of our fluff, and because there's going to be an opportunity to add it back in. But good to, like we said, just try to do your best with your non-cutting finger foam.
Your fluff almost looks like it could become hair for your cookies.
Yeah, very fun little modification. And if you still have any of those little magnets at home, this could be a very fun one.
I did hear that you made some magnet memes.
Yeah, we did make some incredible magnet memes. We like meme culture here at the MCL, of course. What a great form of storytelling for this age, you know, and communication in general.
Especially on the fridge.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I was always a big fan of, you know, poetry magnets and that sort of thing.
All right, so I have my 2 strings. This might be, you know, if you're practicing tying your shoes or you're practicing tying other kinds of knots, we're just gonna do, oh, I lost my fluff too. We're just gonna do that same thing. So I'm gonna tie a knot up at the top because I want mine to be a loop that I can maybe hang up somewhere, maybe hang it from a light fixture or, you know, a hook on the wall. So I've got my loop. I had to tie a couple knots up at the top. You could tie them really close if you wanted, if you didn't want a loop like that and you just wanted a freestanding pom-pom.
And I'm finally catching up here to be at about the same stage here where you can see my, well, there's my donut sandwich, of course.
Nice. Looks like a mouth.
It does. Very, I don't know if we have any old school Nickelodeon fans here. Or your parents, way more likely. Yeah.
Before your time.
All right. So this is a bit of a tricky spot.
Oh, you got your fingers stuck in there.
Yeah, but we got it out. I'm gonna
You want me to
be a
hold
little.
it while you tie?
Ooh,
Would that be helpful?
that just might be.
Or I can cut you. Yeah, I'm gonna cut Roman a string.
Cool. Okay, thank you so much, Melissa. Very concerned by you know, no fluff left behind here. All right.
Or you can hold it.
Cool.
If it's easier.
Oh yeah, and have you here? Let's go for that.
Okay, so I'm just wrapping my yarn in between these 2. Awesome.
Yeah.
Here, I'll let you finish.
Very cool.
Somebody could even get it started and you could finish it.
And you can finish it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, with a little help from our friends, a little bit easier. Cool.
Nice.
Now we're just going to tie like we were just talking about. And where are you at? Oh, you're like there.
I'm here, and I was just like waiting for the big reveal.
Yeah.
With you.
Oh, I love that.
It could be fun to do that part together.
Absolutely.
Nice.
This good. Oh, want it to be, you know, here tighter is not so bad. I'm just gonna do a simple one more time through.
Again, there's a million different ways to do this. Maybe once we take these apart, I can show you a way that you do it with just your hand. Our easiest tool, right?
Yeah.
And you can check out, there's a bunch of other videos about how to make pom-poms. So find what works best for you wherever you're at in your pom-pom process. All right, you ready? So now we're going to peel apart our device. And I'm going to get up close so you can see, but we're going to just take off that cardboard piece. You can do it one at a time. You can do it 2 at a time, but now your pom-pom should break free of the seam.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That is some great fluff.
And now at first you might be like, that does not look like any pom-pom I've seen, but need a little help, right?
They'll
We
need a
can
little bit.
kind of tuck them around,
Fluff it
tease
out,
them out.
see where they're at.
There may be one or two that escape. Again, we're fine with them just living their
Right.
lives. Maybe they're going to a different project.
Yes. Yeah, so I like to kind of get all around and make, you know, the best kind of like sphere that I can and see what's up and then maybe trim the edges a little bit.
I love that.
Yeah, there's
That's great.
not too many that we need this time.
So the one that I made before, you can see it's pretty uneven. I saw somebody in a video take their circle and use it as a guide to help shape, you know, so if you hold it up to the cardboard and there's any little bits that maybe that's the one that you trim. So I'm just going to trim that guy because he's, you know, popping up over there. Oh, I'm not trimming him. I'm actually making him more into a fringe. So that's always fun. Let's see. And this might be the part that you want to do over a garbage can if you don't want pom-pom confetti just kind of all over the place. I saw somebody else put down some newspaper or some cardboard so that they could just easily kind of sweep it away.
Yeah, or do it over top of your container where you keep your scraps.
Yeah, for stuffing.
Yeah, oh, great for stuffing. Absolutely. I'm just kind of tying a knot here, friends, so we can, because I'm probably going to use this as a little ornament or something. Got a cute little tree at my house now. Ta-da!
We have like 4 times as many pom-poms as we started with, and
pretty fantastic decoration,
we
friends.
just learned how to do it today.
Yeah, so check it out. Not so bad. Pretty fun.
So maybe you have a string or a colorful piece of ribbon, or maybe even your string of lights that go around your tree or your doorway. These can just kind of hang off of there. They'll look really cool. Again, trim them up until they're the size that you like. But I found with my fluffier yarn, it actually, I don't even think it needs to be trimmed.
No.
So
it's kind of got this nice wild attitude to it as it goes. Yeah, I might just make one more little snip here and fluff it out. And like we were talking before, you know, if you want to see something that's like very, very, very fluffy, that kind of comes from the more times that you loop around your device. Because that's, you know, that'll kind of fill out, add more volume to it, you know. Yes, yes. Just like a fine conditioner, friends.
What do you think? Should I show how to make one around my hand?
Let's do it. Go for it real quick. That sounds
So
excellent.
to do one around your hand, you want to spread open your fingers really wide. You could do this on your palm or you could do this on your fingers. Again, the key is you don't want to be really, really tight because you don't want to hurt your hand and you want to be able to take the yarn off of your fingers. So a good time to have a grown-up help you keep your yarn untangled, right? But I'm going to make sure I have a long loop that's just kind of hanging out, and I'm just going to wrap. And here I'm wrapping kind of more around my palm. Again, we can do this as many times as you want. You can see it's starting to layer up. If you have some rings or something like that, maybe you want to actually take them off, because I found that I had trouble taking the yarn off. And I saw somebody online say that they wrap their yarn 60 times. Can you even count to 60?
Barely. Oh my goodness.
It's the same as counting to 10, but 6 more times.
6 more times.
Yeah, it's a lot. So maybe
I could probably keep track, but you know. Ugh.
So maybe you want to practice your counting. Maybe you want to practice tying your knots. I have a lot of yarn. It's in a couple of different layers. Again, it's okay if it's not really the same amount that we did before. I'm leaving my big loop. I'm going to cut it. Could you cut it for me, actually?
I sure can. Where about it? Right here?
We want it pretty long. We want it maybe at least a foot. Here's the thing about yarn. If you leave it long, you can always trim it up later, and then you don't have to be afraid of running out. So here's what I'm going to do. What do I want to do? You could take off your yarn first, and we would just pinch it. If we're really worried about losing our fluffs, we could take that long tail from the back, and I'm going to poke it through underneath. Unsuccessful my first time. I'm just going to try it again. So I have it through there. We might want to figure 8, so I'm going to go around the back also. It's going to be hard to see. The main thing is that we just want our big loop to go through there a couple different times. So I pulled it through, and I'm making sure that I'm wrapping around a bunch of times. This time I don't think I'm gonna leave a loop. I think I'm just gonna tie it maybe to itself or tuck it underneath. Do you ever end up just like standing up when you're doing crafts?
Absolutely. You get so excited that you don't even realize you're standing at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I see this with folks all the time. They don't want to sit still. That's fine. All right. So I have, it's like a bundle, and you can see that I have 2 loops. Again, really slow, just a couple at a time. Ooh, I hope you can hear that, but it is like ASMR right now, just hearing that
Very satisfying.
fluffy sound. So this can be a sensory experience too, right? A lot of us love to just play with pom-poms. They don't have to have a function, whatever.
Well, and it was fun to watch you doing this process because you can see the moments at which it mirrors exactly what we were doing with our cardboard devices, right? So it's just using, instead of your cardboard device is your hand with the Melissa method 2.0.
The Melissa method. All right, and I'm making sure to keep my fingers out of the way. Maybe if you have a helper, you want to be careful with your fingers. And again, I'm fluffing it up. It's looking good.
Pretty awesome.
And then you can trim it up.
So that's it, friends.
I think we have a whole garland.
I think we're just about there, honestly.
5 pom-poms.
Wonderful.
And you can kind of arrange them in a cool pattern. Maybe you want a bunch of different colors together. So we're hoping to have a bunch of different colors in your kits, which you can pick up where?
At the front door or the front window of the library, friends, where they always are. And they will be available first come, first served by the time you're watching this video. So I think that does it for today. Thank you. We sure do. We'll be here. Thank you so much, friends. Have a great day.
Bye.